Welcome to my channel. My name is Piper. Today we're going to be talking about what I read in the month of May and what I plan to read in the month of June. I've been in a little bit of a slump since the beginning of the year. I was really good about reading in January and February, and then I kind of fell off in April and March. I try my best not to linger on one book too much, and then hopefully I will also get to my June hopeful TBR. The first book that I read in the month of May was To Sir Philip with Love by Julia Quinn. The Bridgerton series is a romance series based around 8 children who are all siblings, and it's all about them trying to fall in love, basically. This book follows Eloise. She is the 5th Bridgerton child. At this point in the books, there has been a time jump. You kind of meet them all throughout all of the books. She's had multiple unsuccessful proposals, and it's just because she's looking for kind of like the perfect one. She mentions multiple times in the book that she is searching for a love match, which is a big topic, I do believe, kind of throughout all of the books. The mom in the book, Violet, really pushes her kids to try and find a love match. She's kind of jealous of her siblings that are older than her, that are married, have kids, and she did have a plan almost to be a spinster with her best friend, Penelope. The MMC of the book is named Philip. We meet Philip because he is related, or married, not related, that would be bad. He is married to the cousin of the Bridgertons. Her name is Marina. It's a little bit different in the TV show. Unfortunately, Marina passes away and Philip becomes a widower. He is basically looking for another woman to fill the role of wife, mother, kind of caretaker of the house. Pretty early on in the book, you meet his rambunctious children. He has a set of twins. I don't remember their names, but he has a hard time managing them without his wife around. And the last kind of like year of his life and previous to that has just kind of been a shit show. So she reaches out to Philip and is basically like, hey man, sorry your wife died. I think they communicate for about a year's worth of time before Philip finally invites her to his home to see. It's almost like a test run. Like when you test drive a car, Philip was like, please come to my house and live with me and, be around my kids and see if this is a marriage that's going to work. I'm a huge sucker for the Bridgerton TV show. I don't think the books are honestly as good as the TV show. I felt like it picked up too quickly. Without spoiling too much, when they do start writing letters, it's almost like it's non-existent in the book, and I think the back of the book kind of gives off a little bit more, that there's more yearning, there's more writing, there's less like immediately meeting up with each other. I just wish there was more letters. I wanted a little bit more yearning. Who doesn't love yearning, right? I did have like not the best time with Philip, the MMC of the book. Philip, he's whatever, he's just a man. Eloise's story, it was okay. I wish Eloise had a little bit of a better story, but I am excited to continue that series. The next book that I read in the month of May is Play Along by Liz Tomfort. This one involves Isaiah, who is on the baseball team that is called the Windy City Warriors, and the athletic trainer Kennedy, who works for the same team. This has been my favorite one of the series so far. It was so cute. I love them. I love Kennedy. I love Isaiah. I think I love Isaiah like the most out of all the guys that have been in the book so far. The book opens and basically you meet Isaiah immediately. He's hiding in a woman's bathroom at the stadium and he's having kind of just a bad day. I don't want to spoil any reason why it would be a bad day for him, but he's just having a bad day. We'll just say that. He hears someone like start to open the door, so he panics and he runs into the washroom. And a woman comes in and she's also having a bad day. This is where you meet Kennedy and they kind of bump into each other for the first time. They strike up a conversation and Isaiah kind of admits that he's having a bad day and he asks her what's wrong. And you basically find out that Kennedy had just come from an interview with the lead doctor of the Windy City Warriors. She was interviewing to be the lead doctor or the assistant lead doctor of some kind. And once he found out that she was a woman, he decided that he no longer wanted to offer her the job and he only offered her the position of an athletic trainer, which is very different than what she's been studying for like multiple years of her life. And from that moment forward, Isaiah is obsessed with this woman. That's like my favorite quality in him. He's like so obsessed with her. Kennedy is also just going through it. She has had a very recent separation from a fiance Her family's crazy. In previous books, what you do see is they kind of have a pre-game, or pre-season, I should say, ritual of going on a boys' trip. They all go on this boys' trip, they're going to Vegas, they're all hanging out, and then Isaiah and Kennedy happen to bump into each other. Kennedy, again, is just having the worst time ever, so Isaiah offers to take her out for the night, and they end up getting really drunk. Oh no, they end up getting married in Vegas. The rest of the book is kind of them, like, you know, figuring out if they can be married or not, or like if Kennedy wants to stay or if she wants to go, what Isaiah's gonna do if she does end up leaving. I love their relationship because Kennedy is very much like one of those typical like walls up character, but I feel like she has the right reasons to have those walls up because of, you know, her job and the storyline of her ex-fiance, but you can tell how much she also loves Isaiah. I also find that this is the best book because it is the shortest book of the series. I do believe the next one is the longest one, so we'll see how that goes. But I find Liz Tomford's writing to be very repetitive. If the character has an issue, it's like their only personality point. They stop talking to each other, so the miscommunication trope comes in, and I find like that's also what she heavily relies on in these books. I think I forgot to mention at the start that I gave the book 4.25 stars. I did actually go back and up the star rating because it was my favorite of the series. You know, the books are fun. I got to the third one and, you know, there's 2 left, so I was like, I gotta read the whole thing now. The next book that I read in the month of May is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. I ended up giving this book a 3.5 star. This is another romance book. I find that when I'm in a slump, the best thing to get me out of my slump is just reading romance. There's no like magic system or fantasy world that you have to like focus on or build up. It is a dual POV book, which I do love those books. This is like an opposite attract romance, Grumpy X Sunshine. I will buy any book that is set Ireland, Scotland, the UK, doesn't matter. I'll read it, I'll buy it. This book follows 2 characters. One is Callum. He is an Irish mortician. His 35th birthday is coming up. It's very important because he has to be married by his 35th birthday to keep his family business and estate. The FMC of the book is Lark. She is an animator that has just moved to Ireland from Texas, ends up moving in right next door to Callum. She ends up bumping into Callum and then, you know, they start talking and she ends up finding about his situation. She decides that she's going to be his personal matchmaker and set him up with somebody. Very quickly though, you see that they have less of like a friendship developing, more of a romantic relationship developing. I feel like there's this like double-edged sword of like, I love short books because they help me get out of my reading slump. But then I start reading them and wish they were like 100 pages longer because I just want more of the story. Within like the first 50 pages, it does feel like a quick start. I feel like after that, it gets a little bit more slow burn. They would hang out and then it would jump to the next week and they'd be hanging out again. So I was like, whoa, I feel like we're missing story in between here. The thing I found kind of annoying about Lark is this secret that she's keeping and decides to keep from Callum. I really don't see a reason for her to keep it other than just plot progression. I don't like when stuff happens in a book for the sake of happening. There is a second book coming. I do believe it'll be more of like an interconnected standalone series because their story does have like a start and a finish. The second book will be about Lark's cousin, I do believe it is, and then a guy that shows up in the first book. And I will be interested to continue the story. I liked this writing. It was like fun, easy. It'll be like a nice in-between read if I'm reading like heavy fantasy or anything like that. Fourth book that I read in the month of May was Two Can Play by Ellie Hazelwood. I don't have the physical version. I did end up reading it on my Kindle and I did give it a 4-star, but I'm gonna say it's a biased 4-star. I love her so much. She's like one of my favorite Insta-buy authors. Anything she writes, I will read and I will read it again and again. Surprise, surprise. Again, this book is a romance book. I really was on a romance kick this month. This book follows 2 characters. They are lead video game animators and creators. The FMC is Viola and the MMC is Jessie. They work at kind of like rivaling companies. There's this huge game that's coming out. I believe it's like a book to game adaptation, and both Viola and Jessie are like obsessed with this game. The company that owns the book series is basically trying to pick which video game company they want to make it. I think it's called Limerence. They send both companies on a retreat to see if they can like actually work together. It's more of like an enemies to lovers, but very, very soft on that trope. I gave it 4 stars biasly because most of the time Ali Hazelwood books are gonna get like 4.5 to 5 stars. This is me post-edit. I feel like I have to come on and add a little bit of information, especially to the last 2 books. I think at this point in recording, I was losing track of what I was saying. Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood, so cute. I loved it so much. It's such a silly little read that I think I read it in 2 days. You can probably read it in an afternoon, honestly. I think I was trying to draw it out because I wanted it to last longer. Jessie and Viola kind of have this personal rivalry that started when they met in the industry multiple years previous to this event. Viola mentions in the book previously having a crush on Jessie, but that like goes out the window after a turn of events that I feel is a little too spoiler-esque to reveal. I feel like revealing that kind of reveals the entire story, but when they get to this retreat, you know, things happen. There's some looks, there's some glances. It does happen pretty quickly because this book is only 200 and something pages. Their relationship is so cute. I do hope in the future that she maybe writes like another book about them because I feel like there's a lot more story to tell. Jessie is such a sweetheart, even in just the 200 short pages that you get to meet him. And it's not a dual POV book, it's just Viola's POV in the book. And you can tell he loves her. He's obsessed. Overall, though, 10 out of 10 book. Highly recommend for like an in-between read. If you feel like you're in a slump, I think this will help you out. The last book that I read in the month of May was Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I gave this 4.5 stars, and again, I'm going to say that's a biased 4.5 stars because Coraline is my favorite movie. I actually don't know if this is classified as like thriller or suspense. Okay, after a quick Google search, it has told me that Coraline is actually classified as a dark fantasy horror children's book, which I feel like those don't belong in the same sentence together. And I love this story. It is so good. I love the movie, so I assumed that the book would be good. If you don't know the story of Coraline, like if you weren't traumatized in your childhood, Coraline and her parents move into a new house. It's kind of a house that's been split up into multiple apartments. So Coraline's kind of bored all the time. Her parents are writers. They're working like a lot. She feels left out. You know, she doesn't get the things that she wants. It kind of is portraying like maybe they're not giving the most attention to her. You are reading the book from her perspective. And then one day she ends up finding a door. Ends up asking her mom to open the door for her. And when she opens it, she realizes it's just a brick wall. Until at night, when she decides to reopen the door, it leads her to a new world. She gets to that world, realizes it's like the fantastical version of her life. There is her other mother and her other father. The world was built by the other mother to entice Coraline to stay. So Coraline goes to like the downstairs show. It kind of turns into a theater with the 2 elderly women performing acrobatics for her. There's dinners that are like extravagant and huge. I don't think in the book this happens, but in the movie she does also go upstairs and view the jumping mice circus. When she returns from some of these activities, the other mother basically asks her to stay forever, and by doing that she has to sew buttons into her eyes. Coraline refuses and she goes home. When she goes home, she realizes that her real parents have disappeared. She spends, I think, a couple days by herself before returning to the other world. Somewhere in the mix, Coraline gets a punishment from the other mother and gets thrown into a closet. In the closet, there are 3 other children that have been stolen by the beldam. Their souls are kind of floating. They don't remember their names. They don't really remember a lot about their life, but their one advice for Coraline is that she needs to leave. She ends up finding the other mother and striking a deal with her, basically saying that she will let Coraline, her other parents, and the 3 souls of the other children go if she is able to find both her parents and the souls of the children. If you have not read the book, I highly recommend it. It is a great source material for the movie. I feel like the movie actually did the book so much justice that the movie is slightly better than the book. It's creepy, it's weird, it's everything that I want to read. I don't think I mentioned what the other mother is previous, but she is what's called a beldam, which is like a mystical being that steals children, which is horrifying. I'm less talking about the book, more talking about the movie, but it's really cool that they did the movie in sort of like a claymation style, because in the book they talk about like people rotting, and the world that the Beldam built only stays alive long enough to basically capture the child. If you still have not consumed Coraline, even in the movie, I highly suggest it. The book is awesome too. They're kind of one and the same. I would say, like, if you're more of a movie person, just enjoy the movie. It's so worth it. If you want to read the book, I recommend it. It's kind of like Two Can Play. It's less than 200 pages, so I did finish it in one afternoon. And it was a nice like way to get out of my slump, finish another book off my shelf. Coraline is great. Please consume it in some way. It's worth it, I promise. It's a little spooky, it's a little weird, but it's like the perfect film. After being in a reading slump, I feel pretty successful with reading 5 books. I am going to focus a little bit more in June on getting some books off my TBR, finishing some series. Because of all the yapping I just did, I feel like this video is going to be far too long if I also do the June TBR in this video. So I'm going to film a separate video to talk about my TBR, about what I want to read coming up. If you liked today's video, it would be really helpful if you would like, subscribe, maybe do both, and stick around for the next video. I'm really excited to post more and make more content, not only just TBR videos, but some vlogs, some other stuff. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.